The site course is run by Tranby. It was started after liaison with the land council, who said that they wanted site officers to protect sites in their own areas. It's funded by DIR for 12 months. The course mainly involves the protection of Aboriginal sites, surveys of Aboriginal sites, and in the long run we hope to set up an Aboriginal Heritage Council to take over from national parks.
How many people are doing the course?
Well, there's 19 of us at the moment.
I'll ask one again. How many are you doing the course?
What is it, 19? 20. 20 of us at the moment, all from different regions. And when this job first started, it really didn't mean that much to us. It was just a job sort of at first. But now, looking after the sites and looking after our cultural heritage means a lot more to us, all of us. And we're getting it together now with adequate legislation to protect our sites properly. Our sites are protected under National Parks and Wildlife, and there's a little white man sitting at the top of that. We don't like that. We don't think it's fair because nobody's ever been convicted of damaging any sites. And we know of the thousands that have disappeared and that are still disappearing today by the multinationals, development and so on. And so thanks to Dave. Dave's been really instrumental in our learning, in the whole course, and the people from our local land council, our regional land councils and the state land council have been a great help to a lot of us, except a couple of us. And Johnny might be able to talk a little bit more on that. But no, we're learning a lot.
How were you chosen for the course?
Our local land councils, well, in the North Coast local land councils, we had 11 fellows that went up for the interview, and regional. We just sent from our local land councils to the regional, and then the regional had their sort of interview and panel, and end up picking 2 from each region.
Where are you from?
And I'm from the North Coast. Okay.
And how long's the course?
It's 12 months, like Paulie said. Well, we're gonna be looking at attending, getting more money. There's a lot more that we've got to learn. There's a heck of a lot more that we've got to learn, and all the stuff that we've already learnt so far, we've got to make sure that we know it all properly. You know, it's been that packed. We've learnt that much, like computers, playing with computers, laws, funding, writing submissions, talking on TV, talking public speaking and everything, debating, report writing, everything. You know, how to do environmental impact surveys and who to talk to, and all these things that we've learned, and we've still got a lot to learn. You know, we're still putting it into practice, having it 2 weeks home and 2 weeks with our wives and family, and then 2 weeks at work and all the hassles, everything. It's just been too packed so far, and we all feel that we want to have it extended for a period of time until we know efficiently that we'd be able to do our work for our people.
Just one more question. Do you mainly just come here, or do you visit a lot of sites as part of the course?
No, we started off, we've travelled all over from the North Coast right down to the South Coast, along the coast, all along the Murray River out to the Yorta, Cumragunja out there, up to Broken Hill to Mootwingie, and then back in central New South Wales. And I think we've seen almost nearly every type of site that there is. And we've had work in plans, had tasks in setting out a plan of management, any site that's under threat. What do we think should be done about it? How do we feel about it? What's the best way that we feel protected, that we should protect them? And that's all coming to light now that they haven't been adequately protected. That's obvious. People of all New South Wales, of all our councils and local land councils, are worried that we're losing our cultural heritage, and they elected us as the working party, the site curators, as the working party to get this Aboriginal Heritage Council together, and that's what we're doing now. And we've only just started. It's an awful big job. We've got a meeting coming up on the 28th of September, well, we got that much work to do, but that's all good.
And that thing in your left hand, is that what you protect the sites with?
Yeah.
This is what Paulie Gordon from Brewarrina, mate. I just got it off him. He's given it to me very graciously. Mate, that's Paulie Gordon from Brewarrina.
How we go?
I'd like to call on Dave Morrissey, our coordinator of the course, who organised everything for us to come down to Tranby and complete our training.
Yeah, well, you can see where I got the grey hair. What we did at Tranby was we talked to the land councils, and they wanted people trained up to look after sites in their area, not leave it with national parks. So we set up a course and checked it out with them and then ran it. We run it under a one-year grant from the Department of Employment and Industrial Relations, which we're going to stretch one way or the other, because 1 year was what we started off with. We think probably 2 would be better. The way we run the course is for people to come down to Sydney, and then we either work in Sydney at Tranby or go off on excursions for a couple of weeks, and then they go back home. So they spend a total of 10 sessions each of 2 weeks, spread over a year. And we start out just looking at Aboriginal sites, different types of sites, visiting sites. The first session we went down the coast and then out to Lake Mungo, looking at sites all along the way. And then we advanced through how to record them, how to write reports on sites, how to manage the sorts of threats that sites are under, mining companies, roads, housing, natural erosion, whatever. And our aim is that by the time people have finished the course, they'll be able to represent their land councils and look after Aboriginal sites on their behalf. And part of that is to push for an Aboriginal Heritage Council to take over from national parks, so that looking after Aboriginal sites is in the hands of Aboriginal people again, with a brief gap of nearly 200 years when it wasn't. I think I'll pass on to some of the other people from other areas. I'll introduce John Griffiths from Quirindi here to say how he's been able to work in the area with the support he's had from his local land council. It's been a bit problem. One of the difficulties we've had is that some land councils are not yet well enough organised to give people the sort of support they need to be able to look after sites in their area. And that's a problem. There have been other problems, but that's one. And John's had that problem, and he could probably tell you best about ways of working with that problem.
How am I going to do that?
I know, you better turn the mic off.
Well, the biggest problem in the northern region is that since I started on this job that I have not got a vehicle and I cannot get around to do the sites that I'm supposed to do, and it's just one great big hassle, that's all. And I've been fighting them for the last 9 months or so to get a vehicle for me to do so I can get around and do the jobs, but I just don't seem to get anywhere with them.
I'd like to introduce Des Donovan from Kempsey with the Central Coast Regional Land Council. Des has been working on a project lately. They found the old grave site of an Aboriginal person in that area, which the Land Council hadn't known about, and the Historical Society had been keeping some eye on. And Des is now engaged on a project to clean up that old grave and to use it for schools as a place for teaching Aboriginal history. So I'd like to get Des to talk a bit about that.
What do you want me to say?
That's what you've been doing.
The site I found is named after an old Aboriginal who served a white man for 23 and a half years. And the blackfellas didn't like him serving his people. So two tribes sort of took off and chased him. And been dead since 1876 and trying to get it rebuilt and get the inscription painted back on it. So the Historical Society is going to give us a bit of hand about putting it back together. That's all I have to say.